So tell me, so what's new with you, man? Where are you at in your journey?
Just right now, just still, I took a little time just to recalibrate as we were talking about before, and just kind of slowly but surely jumping into things. The main objective, and when I talk to people, they say, well, what do you think is the hardest thing that you've had to deal with, either now or in your career? And I would have to say that now is the hardest time with me, just getting adjusted to the new way of searching for employment and connections and reaching out. I was at web.com for 11 years. Like when I found that job, it was just, I knew someone that worked there. And they were like, hey, just come on in. You don't even have to
that's still kind of how it is.
It's still, but it's a few different other aspects of it.
Like what?
Well, just the LinkedIn part of it. Like I was not familiar with LinkedIn at all. I had to take a crash course in LinkedIn, like just how to be successful with it and just reach out and network with the right people. And I'll say that looking at some of your posts, like you actually helped me as well.
Good, man. Yeah, so, I mean, we're just trying to put as much value out there about like what people can do on LinkedIn, and because again, a lot of people like you were there for 11 years. You got a lot of value to add, and a lot of it's people just put kind of their scorecard versus telling a story with it. Yeah. And so I mean, you've got a good story to tell. You're there for a long period of time. Yeah.
But now I'm just looking at it. At first it was like, well, what was happening? Like, why? But now I just look at it like this is my new chapter, and I'm happy to be going through it. I look at it as if I've gotten, if I was still on the same job and I got a new task from my VP, saying, hey, on top of running your team and leading people, I need you to go out and do this as well. Right. That's how I'm looking at it. So the first thing I do is I do my research on it, find out what's going on, and I come.
What have you narrowed it down to? Like, what are the things you want to do?
I would just like to just stay with a lateral move. In a
sales management,
sales management, starting there and then move up, to director and on up from there. But I want to make a lateral move there, and
why do you want to make a lateral? I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But why start with lateral?
Well, I mean, I just feel, and I could be wrong, I just feel that, I've put the time in, so with that time that I put in, I feel like I deserve to go in from a lateral.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I think the key is, like, why not try to go up? I mean, like, why, as opposed to go to individual contributor. Yeah. I mean, I think the key will be what type of sale do you want to do? Because I think what I see with a lot of companies that are hiring is, what they're really going to look at is the type of sale. They're going to say, okay, here's a guy, Ken, who's done this type of sale. And if it's a very similar product, they're going to be like, okay, I completely see how you could come in and do it. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to do a similar kind of more transactional type sale, or?
I'm fairly open. I know that change is good. I don't want to stay complacent in in what I've done, and I know that my capabilities is limitless. So, and I also feel that in a sense it's sort of all the same, whether it's type of business that you're selling to, whether it may be a small business owner, medium-sized business owner, or even a corporation. Right, sure. There's still the same core values that are there.
Yeah, sure. So what do you think? I mean, again, what companies are you looking at? Are there companies that you're targeting right now, or are you still just looking for the right opportunity?
I'm just looking for the right opportunity at this point. Just kind of getting my feet wet and just having conversations.
It's right to take time off, though, man. Too many people don't do it, and look, you were there for 11 years, man. Yeah. So it's very rare, and most people, whenever we hire them, I tell them, I'm like, take like 2 weeks off, take a week off, because you just don't get those breaks very often.
You don't get it.
And a lot of companies, they almost force you to, you put in your 2 weeks and you start the company the next day or next Monday, and it's just not good, I think, for mental health, for people. So, that's good. How much time did you take off?
So it's been about a month or so. Yeah, about a month or so. I've got a couple trips that were planned prior to this happening. So I'm just sticking with that. And I just remember, in high school, the last time when I lost a job and had to look for something else, I did what everyone else does. Took a day or two and then jumped into something else. And, a weekend, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
I should have taken
And even now, some of my, good friends and colleagues,
they're like, jumped in.
They jumped in and like, I should have just waited.
Well, what you're going to have to realize, man, after you're at somewhere for 11 years, it's going to be different, man. It's going to suck. Yes. You're going to hate it. You're going to be like, well, this isn't what I'm used to. Yes. It's going to be really difficult in the early days because you don't remember what it was like in your first 6 months.
Exactly.
You don't remember what it was like whenever you didn't know shit and you didn't.
Or no one or just
anything. I'm telling you, man. What type of company are you looking for? Like what's like stage a company?
I would say either Series A, B,
early stage.
Early stages, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm not closed-minded to. I'm not closed-minded to any. I'm open to all avenues.
What are you looking for from a, I guess like mentorship or leadership standpoint? Is that something that's important to you, or do you want a chance to kind of go in and put your own thumbprint on something? Are you looking to be like a member of a team? Like, how do you think about where you will be best suited?
I would think that just going in, just being a part of the team where everything is already kind of laid out. I think that would be a good space for me. But then also with 11 years, like I've learned so much. I could go in and start processes and things of that nature with a small startup.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm very diverse in that. Like I'm the type of person. Hey, if I know that it's a good fit, if I know the people's good, the culture's good, the product's good, I can go in and make it happen from any standpoint.
Right.
I think the main thing that's gotten me to embrace this is just the fact of being comfortable being uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because before, I had a report or I had to meet someone, I'd be like, oh my goodness, but I learned that you're not growing like that.
Right,
the best bet is just, hey, do it.
Right.
You know more than you think you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's how I'm living.
So do you want? What do you think though? Do you want to build from scratch, or do you want to come in and optimize? Like, what do you want to try?
I would like to come in and optimize.
Yeah.
Yeah, just come in and optimize for now, and then maybe the next step in my career.
I think that's right.
That would be.
Did you get a lot of? Look, we don't have to talk about it, but how important is like mentorship to you or leadership?
I think it's very important. Okay. I've had, again, I worked at web.com for 11 years, and I think I met my mentor there. He started working there a year after I did, and we were together the whole time, and this was like totally my mentor.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. We still have a very good relationship. We talk all the time. And I would even like to think of you as a mentor as well. That's kind of
like a virtual mentor.
Like a virtual mentor.
All right, I'm doing what I can.
Yeah, and you are. Just in doing what you do. But yeah, I think having a mentor is very important.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll tell you, man, my experience at early stage startups, guys like you who are coming out of more of a system and processes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
The thing sometimes they struggle with is you don't get a lot of that. Meaning, what happens when you go to a company where, especially if you want to kind of come over as a leader,
yes.
At a Series A company, maybe there's one other leader, maybe you are the leader, and the CEO is usually trying to hire people that they feel they can kind of offload it to.
Yes.
And they're usually not a very good coach or support because they're hiring people that they think should know how to do the job.
Exactly.
It's bullshit, by the way. It really is, because so many sales, your job as a CEO is to develop people.
Exactly.
Of course you hire people to be competent, but to think you don't owe it to them to develop them. But that's the one thing that the pitfall I would really think about is is a better move for you potentially to go to a company that's a little bit later stage, company that might already have a sales leader in place and there's already one manager, they're hiring another one. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of advantages too of just jumping in and trying to do it from scratch.
I'll tell you, and I've figured that out as far as like some of the conversations that I've had with different prospects and people, talking to me. I've been able to distinguish the company is just saying, hey, we just want you to come in and just do it, versus we've already got a system here, we've got different managers here, we've got a system in place. So I really think to start off with, I think that would be
better.
That's
where you're not going for it. But it's still earlier than maybe when you joined web.com.
Earlier, yeah. Exactly.
The good part of this, man, there's a lot of companies in Austin that kind of fit that.
You're here.
Huh?
You're here.
We're here, for sure. We're here. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what other companies are you looking at? Like, what are some other opportunities?
It's just mainly just looking for those lateral moves. I've talked to a few companies there. Went on a couple of interviews. Things seem pretty promising. I think that for me being with the company for 11 years, I think that I've been able to adapt and adjust and kind of get up to speed and catch.
Sure, and through acquisitions and
things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about we're being here. Do you want a job here? Is that what you?
No. Okay. I was just saying you guys came here.
We came here for sure. Yeah. We're loving Austin, man.
I was going to ask you.
We've been able to grow. We've been able to scale really quickly. We're, our office now is almost getting maxed out. So it's been good, man. It's been really good. Austin's been a great city. Yeah. Really great city.
Was it a big transition? I bet it was a big transition.
From New York? Not really. I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Kansas City. So for me, I've been everywhere. San Francisco, New York, here, and now Phoenix, San Francisco, New York, here. Actually, Tampa, Phoenix. So I kind of like it. I still go back to New York every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I still spend a lot of time in New York. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds for me. have like a lot more space.
I know you
got two little ones, so it's, it helps it. We don't have 4 humans and 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
Which is not the most fun at times.
Yeah, I actually took my first trip to New York back in November.
Okay, first time?
First time. And
okay.
I was just like, wow.
What'd you think?
I mean, I loved it.
Yeah.
But just the space part of it, from Texas. It was interesting.
I love it.
I loved it.
Like, I love it, but yeah, it is nice to go back and it's like a little bit less. But then we lived there for 6 years, so you just get used to it.
Yeah.
There's like people everywhere, and you just put the blinders on, and you just like.
And you get to it.
You don't see them. People are doing their thing. I think New York people are actually pretty nice. They're just all in a hurry.
Exactly. Yeah, I was hearing that New York people are rude and things like that.
That's Boston people. Boston people.
Okay.
New England people.
Okay.
Those are the rude people. Yeah. Ask people in Boston and they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I've got a couple friends that are from Boston. But it wasn't as bad, like even in New York, it wasn't.
No, I don't think it's that bad. I can tell you people in Texas are a lot more friendly. Like overtly friendly. Not like South overtly friendly, but like nice overt, like, hey, I'll look you in the eye, I'll talk to you, I'll say hello, how can I help you in the service industry, whereas in, you're in New York in the service industry, someone you make eye contact with like the salesperson and they're like, don't.
Yeah.
God, why you bothering me? I'm on my phone. So how can I help, man? Like, what are the things, like, in your hunt, there's a couple people I can definitely introduce you to that, there's this guy, Scott Leese. Have you heard of Scott before?
No, I haven't.
Scott was a sales leader at a company here called Outbound Engine. Do you know Outbound Engine?
I'm familiar with Outbound Engine, yes.
Now he's the head of sales at a company called Qualia. And Scott is
familiar with Qualia.
Scott is super dialed in to the sales community here and knows a lot of companies. Another company to check out here is a company called WP Engine. Do you know WP Engine? From like your web.com days. So another head of sales too. So I can introduce you to those guys. They're both just good dudes to know. Scott in particular is just super well connected.
Okay.
You might even be higher in leadership, I don't know.
Okay.
And John, who I'll introduce you with WP Engine. WP Engine's
I'm
growing like crazy.
With John. He and I, we set.
Oh, John Mattel?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
I think it went well. I think for WP Engine, what they're looking to do, they're looking to kind of promote from within. So, I told him, I said, well, I'm not closed-minded to be an individual contributor. However, my first wish is to go in, and either at management or higher.
But
we had a pretty good conversation.
How long ago was that?
This was about, we met for coffee back in February, and we stay in contact. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
John's a good dude. So, promoting from within is interesting. I made a mistake.
What's your take on that?
I'll tell you where I messed up. When your company is growing really quickly, when you only promote from within, you get very insular thinking. And so when I was at Glassdoor, the first 4 leaders I promoted were all internal, and then I hired an external, and that was a mistake. I should have hired like my second or third. Like every 3 to 4 managers should be external, in my opinion now, because you need to break up the groupthink.
Gotcha.
You got to break it up because you don't know your blind spots. Another reason a lot of people talk about it, and I'm not a fan of, is they're like, well, you don't want to hire away all your top producers, to promote them. And I'm never going to artificially stunt someone's growth because I need them to keep selling, etc.
Yeah.
To me, what I found is that I have a bunch of new managers managing new people. And that's not a good recipe for keeping people happy because they're learning how to be a manager.
Exactly.
And these people are learning how to sell your product. And so if you promote from within too much and you've got new manager managing new people, it's just not a recipe for it. Yeah. So I think it's situational. I think you need to bring in people from the outside. But I think companies over-index on wanting to hire from internally just because it sounds good in recruitment.
Yeah.
It sounds good in recruitment. We only promote from within and we try to do this. And I think some companies, if they have a good leadership training program, I think that's it. That a lot of startups don't have leadership training programs. And so that's why these startups get in trouble is that you've been a leader for a long time now. But most of these people, it's their first leadership job. Maybe they had one leadership job for a year.
Yeah.
And so they get promoted and nobody's teaching them how to have a one-on-one. They're just doing all the behavior they know is their boss's behavior. And that boss probably had the same leadership training of nothing too.
So it's a cycle.
100%. So all they know how to do is say, let's talk about your pipeline. as opposed to like, let's talk about your goals. What do you want to get out of this? You know, how can I help you? Yeah, exactly. Right.
No,
I don't think a lot of leaders, they think they have goals meeting, but it's more of like they have meetings in passing. Where it's like, yeah, I asked John about his weekend, or, oh, I know he's taking a trip. It's like, no, that's not investing in. What does Ken want to do? What is Ken trying to do with his life? And how can I use this job as a vehicle to help him buy a house, pay down student loan debt, or buy a car, or like whatever it is, or save up for a trip to Kenya, or you know, like whatever it ends up being, what people want to do. I think a lot of people just, a lot of people don't know that for their people. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. And like, just looking at some of your philosophies on sales and you know, and how you look at, you know, closing the deals. Like I told you when you and I initially met, I wish I would have had that training way back when, because
this is all stolen shit. All of my stuff is like stuff I learned from other people. You know, I was really lucky to have worked at, I've been in sales for 2.5 years. I've had like a little bit of leadership experience. And then when I went to Career Builder, they had 1,000 people in the sales org, and I got promoted to leadership in about 3 months, and they put me through a leadership training program. They taught me. They taught me the skills. They taught me how to talk about goals, and I didn't know. That's not intuitive. It's intuitive is to talk about pipeline, right? If you're in a sales lead, it's intuitive to talk about deals. But it wasn't intuitive for me to say, I remember having a conversation with my director. I'm like, why am I asking them about their personal goals? That seems like intrusive. And what I realized is like, it's what's outside of work that motivates someone to do what they do inside work. And if you can flip that and make to where they start to see work and working with you as a vehicle to help them to accomplish things outside of work, that's when they run through walls for you. And so, but I learned all this stuff, man. Yeah. I learned about process. I learned about all this stuff. I don't talk about stuff I don't know about,
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people, I've put a few posts about this too, a lot of people try to reinvent the wheel. Like, here's my thought on it, etc. And like, I'm all for taking a concept and iterating on it. And yeah, sure, sometimes you'll have some epiphany of this is the way it should be. But I think a lot of people spend too much time trying to create original, creative thought, when in reality, the answers are probably one Google question away. I just don't get it. Like, that's my default. And something especially with like people early in their career, they just haven't solved the problem before, and so sometimes they just hit a wall and they don't think about it. I'm like, just Google it. Someone's probably solved it. That's what I do. I go read a book or I Google it and I'm like, oh, this is how this person's doing it. Like, it's working. I'll just go do that. That's all I do. And I think a lot of people, they try to reinvent the wheel, and I more like to iterate on the wheel.
Yeah.
The wheel's a pretty good method of like transportation. I'll just like, there's some modifications on it.
Little modifications.
That's all it is. Yeah. And experimentations and not getting down on yourself when it fails. But so what else, man? How else can I help? Happy to make a couple of those intros. I want to introduce you to John, since you already know John. What I can do is ping John and say, hey, what's up? Had a good conversation with Ken.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. Yeah. I just like talking to you and being in your presence and listening to your knowledge, man, because again, you're right. Like, how you've learned over time, and you've just put it all together. But I definitely feel like it's your calling, man, because someone like myself that's been in the game as long as I have, I've learned a lot of things through trial and error and by doing it.
100%.
But it's always good to have someone you can go back and look and say, oh yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do. I never even thought about it that way. I'm just trying to like lay it all out, just lay out, just like, this is the stuff I've been doing. I don't have time to write a book right now, so I just write
you're doing
like 600, 700 words every day.
Yeah.
In Q3, I'm really starting to think about it. One of the things, that I think with the sales process today, people's preferences have changed. Meaning, I want to go get information for myself. I want to try to learn as much as I can, and then I want to talk to a person. But instead, for sales, we're trained. We got to get them on the phone. We got to do this, and I'm okay with that if that person on the other end of the phone can add value. But this process we have right now for like sales development and inbound qualification and shit like that, where I talk to you, I'm on the other end of the phone, and I'm like, cool, so can you tell me? And they're like, that's a great question for our account executive. It's like, okay, well, why am I talking to you? I think, and you're going to see this in a lot of companies you interview with, this is just the play we've been running. You've got these qualification people who don't know shit about the product, they don't know how it fits.
Checking out boxes.
Yep, I'm banting you budget, authority, need, time.
Decision maker, yes.
Yep, exactly. Compelling event or medic or whatever you subscribe to. And then they hand them over, and I'm the buyer, and I'm going, where's my value? Like, what did I get out of this? There's a story I told about, whenever we got snacks for this office. There's a company, I won't say what company it is, but we're buying snacks, man. A few $100s worth of snacks. $200, $300 snack boxes. Once a month, right? To come get shipped so people have snacks. Yeah. Send an email in. One, in my mind, I'm like, of course I can just order this online. I can just go, enter my credit card.
Boom, boom, yeah, here it is.
It's fucking snacks, dude. So I sent an inbound request. This guy's like, can we hop on a meeting to discuss your snack needs? I was like, no. Send me the options. Like, I'm coming, I'm high intent. Just send me the options. And he's like, well, okay, fine. So then he sends me the option. I'm like, great, I'll just do this one. I was like, what do other people do? They usually like to do this one. Okay, cool, I'll just do that one.
I'll do that too.
I need you to call me to get your credit card. I then call him to give him my credit card. Then I get an email immediately after we sign up for my snack concierge, who then wants to set up a call with me to discuss my snack needs long term. I'm like, why? What the fuck are you doing? It's a $200 sale. How can you afford to spend that much time with me?
Yeah.
I'm spending a few $100s a month. I've got 10 people in the office. Like, I don't have more snack needs. I'm not upsellable. I don't.
Exactly.
They can only consume one giant snack box every few weeks.
Yeah, every few weeks, yeah.
And so, but I think that there's a lot of companies that they're just running that play because that's what they think they're supposed to run.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot about removing the friction. All right, it's coming down now.
Yeah, it's really coming down.
So it's supposed to be like this all day.
All day, and then tomorrow on until like next Tuesday or Wednesday, totally sunny, like 80 degrees.
My father-in-law's trying to fly out right now, like here at like noon.
Where's he coming from?
Here.
Oh.
No, my father, they were in town.
Oh, they're trying to leave. Okay.
I should see if they're able to make it. He might be trying to figure out how they can get out. I'll just check with him real quick.
Yeah, no problem. They may have to sit a little while.
I don't know.
So I wanted to ask you this, Jake. So what is your opinion on, I want to make sure I'm putting this correctly. What is your opinion on thinking about the long-term growth versus taking the money right now?
It depends where you're at in life, man.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you can, how I look at it is you should try to put off the money stuff as much as possible with every single job. But life happens.
Life happens.
You have a kid, someone gets sick, something happens. You know what I mean? So I think what's sad to me is when I see people they go from this job as a senior account executive to this job because they make $10,000 more, $20,000 more, and it's about incremental money. A $10,000 here, a $20,000 there, which in the micro seems like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things,
it's not.
And I saw this at Career Builder. I saw leaders who would talk their reps out of taking promotions because they're like, you make more money than I do as a manager. It's like, well, today, but the experience I'm getting now, it means in 5 years I'm making a lot more money than you, and that's how it actually plays out too.
Yeah. So
I think it's very, very situational, man. If you've got to take it for more money, you need to make, whatever. But if you don't, then you should. To me, it's always about growth. Am I going to grow in this opportunity? Am I going to learn this opportunity versus taking more money? I saw somebody put up a post the other day about taking more money when you're young. I don't agree with that at all because what happens is that knowledge compounds. If I move into leadership at 28 and you move into leadership at 35 because you chase the money, I've got 7 years of getting better at leadership and more responsibility. That's just going to compound over time, and then you're just there at step one. And maybe you made more money, so you might have made $300,000 more than I did in that 8 years, but in the next 8 years, I'm going to make $1 million more than you.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people, they don't think like that. They're just not like, I live in this they want to have a car, they want to live in a big house or something to impress people and shit like that. So I don't know, man, but it is super situational, and if someone takes a job for more money, just I think about it.
Yeah,
just think about
it. I think you kind of nailed it there when you said it's all about the growth part of it, because in being a forward thinker, you may give up maybe a couple grand here, but like you said, in the long haul, you're making that plus.
And it's always, and I think the key is just making sure you're finding the right opportunities to grow. A lot of people, opportunities can look like growth, but it's just the same shit. And I think when you think about making a lateral move, and going and being a leader somewhere, I would think about what do I want to get out of it. I always tell people, think about the next steps, which is, okay, so you take this next role, what is that going to then prepare you for? And that's how I've always ran my career, is thinking about, okay, if I do this thing, Not is that going to prepare me for that next role?
Gotcha.
You know, like, and so for example, I was fortunate. Career Builder had a program back in its heyday when they would pay for your MBA, and so I applied for it. I was like, well, do I really need it? Do I need an MBA to be a sales manager? No, but all I've known my whole life is sales. As a professional, I fucked around in undergrad. You know, I had a 2.99 GPA. Like, I took 5.5 years. Like, I didn't get much out of that education. You know, and that was my fault, not the school's fault. And I'm like, it's free, and like, will the skills come in handy? And I think that's the right way to go back, and why you should get an MBA is like, you want to learn skills as opposed to like, it's a checkbox, like put an MBA by your name, I don't put an MBA by my name. Like, it just, I learned a lot, so it was like helpful
That's
to me.
It, yeah.
And so, but I think about, so did I need it in that job? No. Did I need it to be a manager? No. But whenever Glassdoor came knocking and had a VP of sales job open, the fact that I had managed a team for 2.5 years successfully, had sold enterprise deals effectively, and I think, you know, look, especially in the coast, California, it's like, oh, did you go to Stanford or Berkeley or whatever, or like, you know, this, and I think if I just had went to Missouri State undergrad and didn't have an MBA, you know, Arizona State's not like Stanford by any means, but it's, you know, it's a Pac-12 school, it's a big school, and I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have got the interview, you know, like, and so I've always made decisions thinking about the next step, and am I doing the things today to prepare myself to be, you know, if I'm a sales manager, what am I doing to prepare myself not to just be a director, but also then to be a VP? What are the skills that a VP has? Yes. Because then if you start to level up those skills, you'll already get to a lot of the skills that a director has, so the next opening, you'll get the director opening. And I think a lot of people, they wait to be picked, or they think that you'll get all the skills on the job, and you won't. I want to hire someone who already knows how to be a director, not somebody who is ready to level and give me a chance. You know, and a lot of people want to ask for a chance.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, just for some tips maybe that you maybe could pass on to me. One of the things that I was thinking about is in these companies that I'm looking at, one of the things that's important to me is that they're continually investing in the product.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I feel that if you're not investing in the product, we can have a heck of a sales team, but it's still not going to matter because retention, you know, because of that. So
that's the number one thing you should look for. That's the number one thing I would look for if I was going to a startup is I would ask that question about how they think about R&D, what the product roadmap looks like. Okay. But I would also go to Crunchbase and I would look at who their investors are. Okay. I can tell you who your investors are has a massive impact on your ability to raise subsequent rounds. Okay. So if you go and you look at their investors are, because then you can click on Crunchbase and see the other investments those companies have made, and you go and look, and maybe they've made a handful of investments or whatever, or the people have done some interesting things, and that's all their investors. Versus someone's raised from a tier 1 VC. If you raise your Series A or Series B from a tier 1 VC, the chances you don't raise your next round are like fucking zero. Okay. I mean, they're not literally zero, but they're pretty damn close. So I don't think enough people, I got really lucky at Glassdoor. I didn't know shit about the startup world. It just so happened that they had raised from the best of the best and had the best people on their board. I took the opportunity. I didn't do that due diligence, and that's a mistake I see a lot of sales leaders make. They get sold on the company and the idea. I got lucky. Very, 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 very lucky. Because I didn't do my due diligence. Yeah. And I wish, and I was just in this room with these like massive heavy hitters in board meetings and not realizing how fortunate I was. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think not enough sales leaders look at that. They look at that, and so when you think about that, I would look at who they raise from, because it just makes life easier. Like we never had to worry about raising money. Glassdoor raised I think $250 million before they sold, and it was never like I mean, don't get me wrong, you got to work on your valuation, but there was never a time you're like, are we gonna raise our next round? Yeah. Like, you know, whereas if you, but in the other side, but if you get with a startup that, you know, raises some friends and family or whatever, they raise a small seed from a fund that, you know, you go back and look at their track record, hasn't done a bunch, they don't have any of those people that do Series A's that have invested in it. It just means life's gonna get harder. Whereas we were always able to keep growing and keep growing and keep growing because we knew the next check would come, and we knew if we kept hitting our sales targets, we knew the checks would be fine. And
that's an easier way to
yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot easier.
I'm saying,
it was totally easier, man. I mean, I learned a lot. Like, No, I was actually talking to a guy who runs a sales team. They have New York and Austin offices, and they've grown. They've added like 50 people in the last, like just here in the last 6 months. And I'm like, you're fucked. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna scale. Companies scale too fast. You got to pull back. They raise 50 million. They raise 100 million, and then what happens is they just scale too quickly. They didn't have the process. They didn't have the systems. That's exactly what happens, man. And what happens too in the startup world is. You do your forecast based on the forecasted quotas, not what people are actually hitting. You know, something like 50% of people hit quota last year, something like nationwide. You know, and it's because of that. We're just setting all these unrealistic quotas based on the numbers the board needs to see. So that's what I would look at, man. If I was looking at a company, I would look at one. It's always better if it's a second-time founder.
Okay.
Than a first-time founder.
Okay.
First-time founder, not always. But many times the first-time founders, they're just not going to see around the corners. Your second-time founder, I've stubbed my toe here. I know this is what's going to be fun. I've raised money before. Everything's easier when it's a second-time founder, you know, or more mature. Like again, like Robert. How old was Robert when he started Glassdoor? Robert was probably he'd been the CEO of Hotwire.
Okay.
You know, he had done a whole bunch of things. Even though this was technically his first startup, it wasn't really. He'd been a CEO before. Gotcha. You know, and so when he was later in life, he wasn't 25 or 26. He probably, I don't know how he was, maybe late 30s, early 40s. You know, so those things matter a lot because you've seen around the corner. Your anxieties maybe less, and that stress that you put on the organization's less. You know, I think about even myself as a CEO. Like, I don't think I was a very good CEO for the first 3 years. I think of Scale is kind of like tale of two companies, where first 3 or 4 years trying to figure out market fit, and then as we started to figure it out, it's like, oh, this is the company we're gonna be. And then I think it like alleviated a lot of stress, and I probably wasn't very good either for the first bit. You know, because I didn't know what to do. I mean, look, I never started a company before. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. It's like following this playbook, like what other people said to do. So. Yeah.
Are there any other tips that you could give besides?
I think the key is, I think with a lot of people, they don't know how to tell a very good story about the work they do. Meaning, what they do is they tend to say, oh, I did this, I managed this people, etc. As opposed to talking about, you know, look, so my role as a leader was to do, you know, develop people, do this, Yes. You know, as a part of that, we hit quota, etc. But my leadership philosophies are this, and this. The other piece is, in my industry, it's important that I'm viewed as an expert. And so, you know, here's what I did to make sure that when local businesses found me and they found web.com, these are the types of content I would put out for me, etc. Okay. So I think a lot of sales leaders talk about, I manage a team, we hit quota, I'm aggressive, etc. But I think they don't tell a good enough story about, look, here's my leadership philosophy, here's how I think about growing and developing people. That's what I want to hear as an SVP or CRO or CEO. Here's my track record in growing people, here's what I want to do here. The other thing is, you know, as much as you can, coming in with prep work. You know, I think about how I got my job in Tampa and in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. I came in with a dossier of like how I'm going to come into this market. Actually, at Career Builder, how I got promoted too, I did a market analysis of how many open jobs were in these 5 states that I would be managing, how many open roles, what I project revenue is, how I think we could better attack those states. So I don't know why people don't do this. It was great. I mean, at Phoenix, for example, there were 35 people as a group interview. I was the only person who got a job that day. And it's 100% because I put together this fucking this dossier. It was like about selling hockey in the Arizona sun or some shit. I found it the other day though. I'm gonna take Caleb, remind me, like, we're gonna pull it up. It's at my house. I've got this like dossier, this thing that I wrote to get this job. I gotta find the Tampa one. The Tampa one was good too.
I would like to see.
Because Tampa was like the worst team in Major League Baseball whenever I.
And you put it together.
I put together this thing. What was my strategy? Yeah. You know, of like, how would I think about this market? How would I think about going and getting myself? I was interviewing for group ticket sales. Okay. So I looked at what are the biggest groups in Tampa. Yeah. And I said, I'll go after these people. Yeah. I didn't just show up. I did say I wanted to be the general manager, which I didn't even know what that meant. It's not smart. I still got the job.
But just the prep work.
But that's it. You know, so for me, if it was a job I really wanted, I would put the prep. I would do a little bit of the prep on the space. And the sites I would use for you would be G2 Crowd. G2 Crowd basically is like the leader in like software comparison. Okay. So you could go and look at their competitors, right? Gotcha. You could go look at where they are. It depends how established they are. They may or may not be on G2 Crowd. I'd Google them. I'd Google their competitors. Okay. I'd see, you know, if you want to know someone's competitors, you see who's buying Google AdWords around them.
Okay.
You know?
I do, and you know what I will say, I do some of those things. I look at, competitors, but I'll definitely use this tool.
And think about, putting together a 3-page brief on like, look, with an organization like yours, here's the trends I know about the industry and things that are happening. Here's how I would think about, competitive differentiation. And then here's how I think about moving forward. I wonder if I can find a deck. I guess I've always done this now that I think about it. I think I did this for every job I've ever had. I always did this and I always got the job. I don't think I ever put one of these together and I didn't get the job.
I mean, it's...
Because I'm telling you, you go in there, you're prepared. Yes. I know your company, I know your space, I've done my due diligence, I know what you're going through.
Here's how we're going to...
I might be off. I don't know everything about your business.
Yeah.
But here's what I do know. I've read Gartner's report, Forrester's report, and Harvard Business Review about what's happening in blockchain right now, in retail.
Yeah.
Here are the 3 biggest trends. Here's how I think you guys line up and differentiate against those trends.
Okay.
And this is 5 hours worth. Maybe it's like 5 to 10 hours worth of work. But after the first, you go in, you meet with the CEO, you drop that.
It's over.
Over. Everyone else is going in talking about how I hit quota. I'm like, no, here's what I think about strategically helping you to run your business. And here's what I already know, and like in prep, that would be my tip. For the jobs that you want, be smart about it. You know what I mean? Don't do it if you don't want the job.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what else would my last tips would be? There's certain spaces I would never, make sure it's a space that's exciting. Well, I think for me, I can find excitement in almost any sales environment.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, selling to government, selling to RFP-based sales, that doesn't excite me.
Okay.
It excites other people, I fucking hate it, man. I hate it. Because I feel like it removes all the sales elements out of it. And if there's spaces where you're like, I don't fucking know what this is, then I would avoid that too.
Yeah.
I would avoid, not that you don't know anything about the space, but if you're super confused by it, even blockchain for me sometimes, I understand the concept of what blockchain is, but some of the ways people are trying to apply it, I'm like, well, why is that important? Versus just like what we're doing right now in the cloud and encrypting things, so for me, I think I would just be smart about, can you get what the company does? Yeah,
gotcha.
Relatively quickly, so that's what I got, man.
Man, thank you. These are awesome points that I'm
going
to take, man. And
good. All right, I'm gonna introduce you to Scott. You'll like Scott's a really good dude.
I would really appreciate that.
He's a really good guy. He goes surfing all the time. He's an interesting dude. I like him.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So since you've been in Austin, what have you done as far as touristy things? Where have you went?
I feel like I haven't done a barbecue. I'm a big barbecue fan, so I've tried to go to a whole bunch of the different barbecue spots. I still gotta go to Franklin's. I haven't been to Franklin's. Yeah. So I'm a big barbecue. I've been to probably 10 or 15 different barbecue spots. So now I'm gonna have fucking brisket tonight. I haven't had fatty brisket in a week and a half, which for me is a long time. And I gotta tell you, Terry Black's they never run out, and their fatty brisket is on point. I think a lot of people sleep on it because it's a bigger restaurant as opposed to a food truck.
Yeah.
But man, every time.
All right.
So Terry Black's is a place called Valentina's. Have you been? That's just south of town.
I heard of it. I haven't been there.
Just went there. Their beef rib was amazing. What else have I been? But not to Curlin's. That place was pretty good. Le Barbecue. We had Le Barbecue. Le Barbecue was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You really like barbecue.
I do like barbecue. Ironworks was okay. Yeah, I love barbecue. So I've done that. What else have we done? Haven't went to the lake yet.
I was thinking about that. You don't have time for that right now.
We'll do that. I'm sure we'll do that this summer.
Yeah.
What other touristy stuff have we done? I don't know, man.
You've got to do the lake.
Yeah, we will. We will with the
that.
family and everything. We'll do that because I guess a lot of people rent houses up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to do that. You'll enjoy that.
Yeah. No, it's been. We've done a lot of tour stuff outside of. We've had a lot of trips this year. We went to Turkey for a week.
Wow.
That was fun.
Okay.
That's the 4th time I've been. I love Turkey. It's a great people, good culture, a lot of entrepreneurship going on. We've got connected with some of their entrepreneurship community, and so we did some workshops there.
Okay.
Went to Whistler, went skiing. In fact, we did something else too. It's been good, man. I take time off sometimes.
Good.
I'm still working, but.
Well, want to welcome you to Austin.
I love it, man. I'm enjoying it. I appreciate it, Ken. Thanks for coming down, man.
Thank you for having me.
Anything I can do to help, man. You see, the big thing for me too is, man, anyone you see that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, just let me know. And if you're like, hey Jake, I saw you're connected to so and so.
Okay, and I definitely want to keep in contact with you, man, and just share with you how things are going.
Yeah, definitely do.
I want to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Can we take a picture?
Of course, we can.